Hello, this video provides only the essential information on preparing a pie chart report for Academic Task 1 IELTS exam. From this video you will learn essential information about pie chart, a Band 9 answer structure, a strategy on how to correctly write each paragraph for a perfect answer, an exciting example of pie chart answer, specific vocabulary that must be used in the future. So, what exactly is a pie chart? It is an infographic that visually represents information. A chart with a circular shape divided into slices to illustrate numerical proportions. The information presented by pie charts must be converted to a written report during the IELTS exam. What are the main elements of a pie chart? Here we have a pie chart. The title. The title presents an explanation of what is shown on the pie chart. The title helps the candidate identify what they are about to look at. The key, or also called legend. The key explains what each slice represents. Also, the key tells us that the colorful slices represent different activities. The key is given on the right side of the pie chart and describes the sectors. The source of information. In our case, it's always given in the task description. Sectors. Each pie chart has a whole amount of 100% divided into several distinct parts. The parts are called slices, sectors, segments, shares, or even pieces. What do you prefer? What do the candidates for the IELTS exam need to do with pie charts? Candidates must digest the information from pie charts through visual data, deliver the main features, and make comparisons in the form of a written, logically organized report. Now, let's have a look at this Band 9 scheme structure. Ideally, the report should consist of 4 paragraphs. Introduction, Overview, Body Paragraph 1, and Body Paragraph 2. By following this structure, scoring in Band 9 is not an issue. This task card presents the task description and 2 pie charts. On the top you can see the task description and on the bottom the pie charts. The pie charts show the percentages of time dedicated to different activities by young people in Russia during their leisure time in 1995 and 2007. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Here we can see 2 pie charts. The title states that the pie charts present percentages of time dedicated to different activities. Each chart has its year, in this case 1995 and 2007. At the right side of the pie charts we can see the keys with the descriptions of the slices. Let us list the activities: walking, playing music, video blogging, internet surfing, fishing, playing video games, street workout, and other sports. Now we are going to write our first paragraph, Introduction. Here I provided recommendations for a Band 9 introduction. Remember, introduction paragraph must include no more than 2 sentences. Simply paraphrase the task, using synonyms as much as possible. Include the period of time if it's applicable. Finally, mention units of measurement, such as percentages or tons, depending on what is given on the pie chart. Before we all start analyzing the example, let us consider some additional vocabulary for introduction writing. I provide some examples of sentence starters. The pie chart shows information about how much. The pie chart presents data about how many. The pie chart depicts data on. The pie chart highlights percentages of. The pie charts compare the proportions of. Some examples of how to paraphrase a period of time. In 2020 and 2022, you can paraphrase to during 2020 and 2022. Also, in 2020 and 2022, you can paraphrase to in the year 2020 and 2022 respectively. from 2020 to 2022, you can paraphrase to between 2020 and 2022. My example of introduction. On the top you can see the task, on the bottom my answer. I will demonstrate how I paraphrased the task and wrote the introduction, word by word and phrase by phrase. The phrase "the pie charts" I changed with the pie graphs. Instead of "show", I wrote "demonstrate". The percentages of time identical to the proportions of time. Dedicated changed to spent. Different activities altered to various undertakings. Instead of young people in Russia, I wrote adolescents in Russia. The phrase "their leisure time" I changed with "their free time". The phrase "in 1995 and 2007" should be paraphrased for "during 1995 and 2007". The final sentence is not shown on the task description, but mentioned as a recommendation to the Band 9 introduction. You will always find this information from the pie graph. Its units of measurement. I wrote, all the values are given percentage-wise. Here you can see the introduction that consists of two sentences. The first sentence is just the paraphrased task. The second is the description of the units of measurement. Paragraph 2. Overview. Before we start, look at the list of recommendations for a perfect overview. Describe no more than 4 main trends from the pie chart, ideally 3. Give only general information from the pie chart. Do not mention dates or percentages in your overview. Detailed information will be described in body paragraphs. Make comparisons. It's compulsory as it's asked in the task. Remember, always start your overview from the phrase "overall it can be seen". It's the indicator for the examiner that you write an overview. It's time to identify the main trends. Here is the list of recommendations. Just find the biggest and the smallest slice on one pie chart. Then find the biggest and smallest in the other chart. Which slice becomes bigger or smaller or does not change over time? Find the biggest and the minor changes. Group the information and make comparisons. Here you need some analytical skills that might be developed with some practice. Looking at these pie charts, we need to visually separate the slices for the biggest and smallest. Straight after the separation, we can see that at the beginning of the period in 1995, walking, fishing, street workout and other sports were the biggest slices. That's why we can group these activities and call them active endeavors. Endeavor is a synonym for the word activities. Also, we can see that playing music, video blogging, internet surfing and playing video games comprise the smallest shares. We can call this activity sedentary, which will be our second trend. Sedentary activities were the least significant sector in 1995. Further, we should consider the other pie chart in the year 2007. After the visual separation, we can see that playing music, video blogging, internet surfing and playing video games comprised the biggest slices. It means that so-called desk-bound interests were in trend in 2007. And this is our third trend. At the end of the period, desk-bound interests build the largest segment. At this moment, we should group the information that we have collected. All 3 trends must be included into our overview. 2 trends from 1995 and 1 trend from 2007. Below the pie charts you can see the overview that I wrote. Pay attention. According to the recommendations, the first phrase is "overall it can be seen". Then was included the first trend from 1995. Further was included the second trend from 1995. Trend number 3 is included in the second sentence. To make comparisons and ensure coherence and cohesion, I use specific words that highlighted in yellow. These words are "while" and "surprisingly". Again, these words serve as the indicators of comparisons and make the overview sound logical. Let us read the overview and emphasize the comparisons. Overall, it can be seen that at the beginning, active endeavors made up the largest contribution to youngsters' free time, while sedentary activities were the least significant sectors. Surprisingly, desk-bound interest built the largest segment at the end of the period. The word while compares trends of 1995. The word surprisingly makes the contrast between the trends in 1995 and the year 2007. That's all for our overview. Body paragraph 1. Before we all start looking at the example, let us consider some additional vocabulary that should be used for writing a body paragraph. To describe quantity, nearly half, when your values round 46% to 49%. The vast majority, 85%. A small minority, 15%. A very small number, 5%. Roughly 1 in 4, 24%. 3/4, 75%. Phrase to compare proportions among slices. We're nearly the same. Noticeably lower. We're significantly higher. Verbs to describe changes in percentages. Upward trend. Grow, rise, increase, peak, swell. Downward trend. Fall, dip, drop, decline, decrease. Phrases to describe changes in percentages. Has shown a decrease in, or has shown an increase in. More than double the previous percentage. Experienced a threefold increase over the period. This is how I wrote my body paragraph 1. Again, in body paragraphs we describe in detail the trends from the overview. In the first body paragraph I described only the first trend. Walking and fishing accounted for 1 in 30 and 17% of youngsters' free time in 1995. However, these values experienced a sharp decrease and amassed only 6% and 3% in 2007. Other sports and street workouts lost in popularity and dropped from 17% and 15% in 1995 to 4% and 7% in 2007 respectively. We are going to analyze each sentence of this paragraph. I use different colors to provide the explanation. The activities from the charts colored by the corresponding color. Sentence number 1. By the yellow color I highlighted years and percentages, for example, in 1995 and 17%. Accounted is a verb colored by green to call attention. This word should be used with percentages. Students need to know how to use fractions in the IELTS exam. Therefore, I wrote 1 in 30 instead of 30%. The word however is highlighted by the red color and serves as an element of cohesion and coherence to link ideas between sentences, make smooth transitions, and make our writing logical. The red color indicates the phrase I used to provide a detailed explanation on what has happened with the proportions over time. These values experienced a sharp decrease and amassed only. The word only emphasizes that something has a small value. Sentence number 2. Other sports and street workouts lost in popularity and dropped from 17% and 15% in 1995 to 4% and 7% in 2007 respectively. The phrase lost in popularity serves a specific function. It shows how the trend developed over the period. It is a useful phrase that should be used during writing pie chart reports. The word dropped is colored by green. This verb should be used with percentages. The adverb respectively is a commonly used word to show the same order of the values belonging to the activities or names mentioned in a sequential way. Body paragraph 2. Let us consider some additional vocabulary that should be used for writing a body paragraph. Adjectives to describe trends. Significantly can be used with the verb grow, grew significantly. Marginally, use with the verb drop, dropped marginally. Sharply can be used with the verb increased, increased sharply. Dramatically, use with the verb decline, declined dramatically. This is how I wrote my body paragraph 2. Again, in body paragraphs we describe in detail the trends from the overview. In this body paragraph I describe trends number 2 and 3. Video blogging and playing video games accounted for 1% and 8% respectively in 1995, and they experienced a sharp increase to 20% and 17% in 2007. Internet surfing made up only 5% in 1995 into leisure time, while by the end this value grew to 28% in 2007. Playing music built a 7% sector in 1995 before it twofold grows to 15% in 2007. We are going to analyze each sentence of this paragraph. Different colors are used to explain. Sentence number 1. By the yellow color I highlighted years and percentages. For example, 1% and 8% respectively in 1995. Accounted and experienced are verbs and should be used with percentages. The phrase sharp increase I colored by the red color to demonstrate a way to emphasize the noun increase. The adverb sharp shows that something happens suddenly or quickly. Sentence number 2. Internet surfing made up only 5% in 1995 into leisure time, while by the end this value grew to 28% in 2007. Again, by green I colored the verbs made up and grew. The phrase while by the end serves two functions. It provides a clear transition to the end of the period and demonstrates a dramatic change in percentages. Sentence number 3. Playing music built a 7% sector in 1995 before it twofold grows to 15% in 2007. By highlighting the word twofold, I wanted to demonstrate a fancy way to say that something has become 2 times bigger than before. This is all for our body paragraph 2, and now you can have a look at the full answer.